Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ksenia. I make videos for people who are going through the family green card process. I'm not an attorney. My videos are based on public information, my own experience, and the experience of my subscribers. And the purpose of my channel is to give you guys the confidence to go through this process completely on your own. Today's video is an updated guide on how to put together your I-751 removal of conditions packet. I also have an exciting announcement that the form I-751 is now available for online filing via the PDF upload. I will make the guide for this very shortly. So if you don't want to be bothered with printing out and submitting all of this evidence by mail, you can submit this application and all the required evidence via the PDF upload directly through your USCIS account. I do already have a guide on this packet from before, and if you're interested, you can check out the old video. I will keep it up just in case. There also may be additional questions in the comments of that video, so if you have a question, definitely go check out the comments under the old video to see if maybe it was already answered. Any resources that I mentioned in today's video will be linked below. Now do keep in mind that this packet is for those of you who are applying for removal of conditions together with your spouse. I'm not well versed in the applications for people who are applying individually due to divorce or abuse. So in that case, I do recommend that you check out the form instructions to make sure that you're not missing out on any important evidence in this kind of circumstance. This is what your packet will approximately look like. Let's take it apart and I will guide you through what I included in it. So first, you will notice that unlike for other applications, for I-751, you are not required to include passport-style photos. You do not need to include passport-style photos or any kind of biographical information page with this application if you are applying from inside the United States. There are certain exceptions for people who are in the military who are located overseas who would need to submit these two additional pieces of information, and you can find this in the form instructions. Firstly, I included a cover letter which will describe what is exactly included in your removal of conditions packet. If you are interested in this cover letter format, you are welcome to use a template that I have available for free in my shop, which I will link in the description box of this video. Keep in mind that a cover letter is an optional thing. You by no means have to include it with your packet. Personally, I like cover letters because they keep me in check to make sure that I have everything printed and organized in the right order. And I think it is also a nice gesture to a USCIS officer who receives your packet and who will eventually review your case to see what is exactly included in your entire removal of conditions case. Next, you will need to include the payment methods for this application. That is one of the biggest changes that occurred in 2025, is that beginning end of October of this year, USCIS will no longer accept paper checks, money orders, and cashier's checks to pay for your USCIS applications. You will now only have two payment options available to you: G1450, which is a credit card authorization form, and G1650, which is an ACH transaction form. You must stick with one of these two payment options to pay for your application. So either G1450 or G1650, you only need to pay one application fee. So thankfully, you will only need to print out one of these forms to pay for your application. On the screen, I have two of them because I'm showing an example of how each of them would look if you chose to use one or the other. Sign this payment form in a black pen by hand. Without it, the payment will get rejected and your packet will be returned back to you for resubmission. The current fee for I-751 is $750. This fee already includes a biometrics fee. So unlike in the previous packet video, you no longer have to factor in the biometrics fee into your application fee. Also, if you have children who received a conditional permanent resident status within 90 days of yourself, their names are already automatically included in your I-751 application. So you do not need to fill out an additional form I-751 for your children, and you do not have to include any additional payments for your children. They are already included in this one fee. If you are unable to pay the application fee for removal of conditions, you are able to use the fee waiver form I-912. You must submit this request for a fee waiver together with your application and all the evidence that is required for the form I-912. After the payment and the cover letter, you will go ahead and include the actual I-751 application. Double check the expiration date on the top right corner of this application and the edition date in the bottom left corner of this application. You must use the most recently available form on USCIS site. If by the time you're filling out this application, it appears to have already expired, but that is the only available version of the form on the USCIS site, then that is the version of the form that you must use. As you can see, my application also has a barcode that was printed at the bottom. Ideally, you would want to have this barcode, but in some cases, depending on how you fill out your form and how you print it, the barcode may disappear during this process. USCIS will still accept your application even if the barcode is missing, as long as the edition date and the page number are clearly visible at the bottom of each page. After the form, you can begin including your supporting documents and evidence for your removal of conditions case. First, you will include a photocopy of your conditional permanent resident card, the front and the back of your card. And it doesn't have to be in color. It's okay if it's in black and white, as long as the copy is legible. And then, of course, if you have any children who are also removing conditions at the same time as you in this packet, then you would also need to include copies of the front and the back of their conditional green cards. Next, you will need to include evidence of your bona fide marital relationship. Now, the form instructions do say that you need to include evidence of your bona fide marital relationship from the date of your marriage to the present date. Although in my personal case, when I applied for removal of conditions, I only included newly obtained evidence from the time that I obtained my conditional resident card. So I did not include any evidence from the start of our marriage, even though the instruction says so. And actually, many applicants do the same thing, where they only provide any newly acquired evidence that has not yet been included with your initial green card filing case. Additionally, you can also utilize the unsolicited evidence button in your online USCIS account to keep adding new evidence to your removal of conditions case after you already file it. I think it is best to follow the form instructions and to include as much evidence of your bona fide marital relationship from the date of your marriage to now. So they do give you some suggestions on some evidence that you may want to provide. Now that you are already a permanent resident with a social security number, USCIS does expect that you provide them with a plethora of financial evidence and other legal documentation proving that your marriage is in fact real. And that includes proof of your children together, signature, proof of cohabitation in a form of a lease or a mortgage, or ownership of some kind of residence, being registered at the same address by having your driver's licenses indicate the same address, some financial records showing that you did in fact commingle your finances. So you do want to include bank account statements, including the transaction history showing that these bank accounts have indeed been utilized, your jointly filed federal tax returns, paying utility bills or having both of your names on the utility bills, health, life, car insurances, and other documents that can prove the legitimacy of your marriage, including affidavits from other people known as third-party affidavits. Those should be originals. So make a copy for yourself, but that is the only exception of evidence that you must send in its original format. I do recommend that you check out a video that I made that gave you 39 different bona fide marital ideas that you may want to consider in your case. Although the photographic evidence is not as important in your case, I do still think it's important to present it to USCIS, and you can organize your photos in really whatever way you want as long as they are printed on a standard piece of paper. So you can't include any flash drives, links, digital files, nothing like that, or just photos in a pile. If you are interested in using a template that I'm demonstrating in this video, you're welcome to purchase it from my shop, but of course you don't have to. You can create your own template. You can organize your photographic evidence in whatever way you like. So there are some other case-specific evidences that you may want to include if that is the case for you, and for that reason you should definitely check out the form instructions. Specifically, I'm referring to those of you who have criminal history will need to provide evidence of arrests, detainments, citations, etc. So basically that is pretty much it. This is a lot less stressful this time around. Now let's quickly look over some specific filing tips that you need to keep in mind. If there are certain parts of the form that you are not able to fill out on your computer, use a black pen to fill in that missing information. Make sure that everything that you print is printed single-sided, including the forms and the supporting documents. You don't have to print anything in color, although if you do, that is also an acceptable form, but black and white is perfectly fine. Do not forget to include every single page of your application, even if some pages are intentionally left blank, such as, for example, the additional information page, the last page of your application. So even if there's nothing written on it, you still must include it with your application. Additionally, you are not allowed to use staples, paper clips, heavy-duty staples. You're not allowed to hole punch anything. If you would like to keep your packet together, you are allowed to use this one large paper clip. I did not include any sticky tabs at the bottom of my packet this time around, just because I think it's more of a hassle to remove them. I've seen some posts and comments from USCIS officers that they prefer that there are no sticky tabs at the bottom of your pages. If you do choose still to include them, they should go at the bottom of your papers instead of the sides. Do not use any highlighters or any correction fluid. Once you put your packet together, you can put it directly into one of the mailers that you obtain at your post office, such as the one that I'm showing on the screen right now, and properly indicate the lockbox facility where you will be filing your case. You can always double check online, as I'm showing on the screen, where exactly to send your case. I will also put that link under this video. You also want to write on top of your packet what kind of submission it is. So for example, you may write something like removal of conditions I-751 application. I hope that you found this video useful. Please let me know how your removal of conditions case is going. How's your timeline? If you did find this video useful, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I hope to see you guys in my next videos. Bye!